my name's Katie. I am Bookish Knits here on YouTube and on Instagram, and this is my first podcast. Thanks for watching. Okay, like I said, my name's Katie. I live in Austin, Texas, and I am a labor and delivery nurse here. I have two main hobbies, I would say, knitting and reading. And I do both of those like basically all day on my days off from the hospital. So I usually watch like knitting YouTube, so like podcasts, the typical like finished objects, works in progress, um, and then like acquisitions format. And then beyond that, I'll also watch book YouTube. Those are my two things that I watch while I knit, and so I really wanted to participate. I'm lucky in that I have people in my life that also knit and also read, and I can talk to them about it. But it's just so fun talking to people about these things. So I wanted to kind of have my own platform where I can talk about the stuff that I care about and make friends on the internet too. So let's do that. Let's be friends. So like I said, watch both like knitting YouTube and booktube, but I don't really have anybody that I follow that does both. So I wanted to know, is that something that people would want to watch? Like, I know that there are plenty of knitters who are also big readers, um, but I just don't know if this is something that I can combine into two videos. Um, what I was thinking I would do today is do a regular knitting podcast format, and then at the end talk about everything that I read this month as well. So let me know if that's fun, if that's something that you would want to watch, or if it would be better for me to kind of separate the two interests into separate videos. So what I knit in a month and then what I read. What sounds fun? But I thought I would start by kind of sharing a mood board that I made for myself. I'll put it on the screen here. But I made this mood board at the beginning of 2024 as a way to see kind of what I wanted my 2024 makes to look like. Just the kind of general vibe. There's some like specific things on here that I know I want to knit, but much more so it was more color scheme, more just general vibe, like I said. So I thought I'd share it with you as a way for you to kind of see what my tastes are, what I like, and then that way you can see if we have similar tastes and if you want to follow along on this journey as I make things this year. So while I have this mood board up, I'll also kind of talk about my general like knitting plans for 2024. And then talk about bookish plans too. Maybe I'll save that for the end when I get to the book section. That's what I'll do. Okay, so knitting plans for 2024. This is kind of a general guideline. I have some specific projects that I want to knit, but I also just have like a general vibe. I did not make a Make 9 this year. I've done it few years previously, and I never make anything off of it. I change my mind too quickly, and then I feel like I failed because I didn't knit anything on my Make 9. So I'm not going to do that to myself this year. I'm just going to have general like goals and plans for how I want my knitting to look in 2024 after reflecting on 2023 and what I made. So the first thing that I put on my list, I have my trusty little notebook, so that's what I'm looking at when I'm talking. But first thing I put on my list is that I want to make more gift knits. I love knitting for other people. I think it's so fun to share what you make and to craft something by hand with love and give it to another person. It's just so special. However, in the past, when I have made things things for other people, I wait until it's too close to the date that I want to give the gift. And so I end up stressing so much because I am like panicking at the last minute trying to get it done. That's not fun for me. And I think it takes away from the intentionality of giving somebody something that's handmade. I think when you give someone something that you made by hand, you're putting like love into each stitch, and it's a very special thing to give someone that. So I think it takes away from it when I'm like, oh, I'm so stressed trying to get this done, and I'm not able to knit that sweater I want to knit because I'm stressed and I have to focus only on this one hat or whatever. So the way I'm going to get around that this year is I am going to knit my gift knits throughout the year and then just save them so that when it comes time to gift for like Christmas or a birthday or something, I have it on my little shelf and I just pull it out and then I give it to the patient or the person. So I think that the best way for me to do that is to kind of like break it up, right? Like I knit a sweater for myself that I'm excited about, and then I move on and I knit something for someone else and just kind of stagger it like that. That feels more doable to me. Okay, I also want to knit some things and just make things in general for my home this year. I like everyone, have been obsessed with the Stella quilt cushions by, is it Laura Penrose Knits? I think so. They're so pretty and everybody makes such beautiful ones. I already have the yarn. I'm ready to make mine. I think they'll look so good on my couch. I also put down the Traveler's hoodie, and this is by, oh shoot, I'll put it on the screen. I can't remember who it is, but I saw it on somebody's YouTube video, and oh, it was Saunders YouTube video. She is this podcast. It's so sweet, so cool. Um, she's in Seattle, I believe. I'm lying. She's in Colorado. Anyways, she makes amazing knits, and I for Christmas made her little makers lotion bars for my friends and family, and it was so fun. So I love her podcast. Look her up. But she made the Traveler's hoodie. Oh, it's by Andrea Mowry. Andrea Mowry, Traveler's hoodie. I wear hoodies all the time. I feel like a knit one would just be so perfect. Um, this next thing that I put on my list is kind of a smaller thing, but it represents something bigger. So I put down the Tulsa tee. This is a pattern by the Crea Vega, which is all of us. We all love her podcast, of course. And she has this Tulsa tee pattern that she's made a lot of different samples of, and I know a lot of people have knit this pattern. It kind of took knitting community by storm when it came out, and then also I know she has plans to release a Tulsa tank later this year, which I will definitely want to knit. But basically, I want to knit more summer knits this year. I have a couple and I think they're okay, but I wear them all the time because I love wearing things that I made. It always makes me feel special and put together. And so I think if I knit more summer knits that I really love, I will wear them all the time. Like I said, I live in Texas, and it does get cold for like 2 months here, which is when I wear all my woolly sweaters and I love it. But there's just not a lot of time to wear these. So I would get much more use out of a summer knit, I think. Now, I don't have a lot of experience knitting with summer fibers or plant fibers for that matter. So I'm really curious to see if I like that. I'll talk about it later, but I knit something out of bamboo yarn and I hated it. So we'll see if I if I can knit summer knits. I hope I can. Let's see. I also wanted to knit the storm sweater This is a pattern by Petite Knit, and I want to basically copy what High Fiber Knits did with hers. Last fall, she said that we were going to have a tomato soup core fall, and we all said, yes, ma'am, that's what we're doing. And I loved it. You'll see in my like acquisitions section, that red color is my favorite. I love knitting with it. I love wearing it. So a storm sweater in like a tomatoey red like she did would just be perfect. I would love to knit that. I wrote more gift knits a second time, so I must really want to do that this year. You saw on my mood board that I wanted to knit a striped sweater. I've never knit a striped sweater. Everyone loves a striped sweater. I know that I would wear it all the time, and I really want to make one. I think it would be nice to make one in kind of like a cotton yarn, so that I could just wear it in the summer and be like cozy but not hot. I don't know. We'll see. And then I really want to knit a red hat Steve Zeezer style. If you know from The Life Aquatic, I put him on my little mood board, and I want to be him. So I want to knit a hat like him. Okay. Let's see. We can get into everything I made in January. I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is the Monday sweater by Petite Knit. I knit this in Drops Charisma, in their like charcoal gray color. I don't remember exactly what the color name was, but I wear this sweater constantly. I cropped it ever so slightly, maybe like an inch or two. That's not super slight, but I tend to crop my knits. And I wear this constantly. I feel like anytime I want to wear something I made, I just throw this on and go out the door. I don't have to think about it very hard, and I love that. This yarn is really nice. It is a superwash yarn, and I feel like you can tell that it's superwash. Like it's not quite so like woolly as other sweaters I've made, but it's held up really, really well, and I really don't have any complaints. I think it's a really nice, like, easy sweater, and I would love to make another one. And I think if I made another one, I would make the sleeves longer. I have to kind of like pull the sleeves to get them to be the right length that I want, and even then it's just a little short. I think I would maybe make the body a little longer too. Okay, so let's get into what I knit in January. I started out the year by knitting the Arched Gusset Mittens by Pearl Soho. These are, I'm just grabbing them, knit in Pearl Soho knitting yarn, and they are in the color Mahogany Red. I'll post a picture so you can really see the color, but these are knit on 3.75mm needles. I knit them on DPNs. I know there's a lot of like DPN slander on this app, but I didn't hate it. That was my first time knitting with DPN, so I'm not an expert by any means, but it wasn't terrible. But this is them, and I don't know if you can see, but they're called the Arched Gusset Mittens because they have this nice like curve with the increases, and it makes it really comfortable to wear. Like I said, I live in Austin, Texas. It is cold enough to wear something like this for like maybe 2 weeks. We don't have a lot of cold weather here, but we do have like every year we have this like ice storm And some years it's been really bad. This year, thankfully, I think we already had it and it really wasn't too like scary, or a lot of people like in the past have lost heat and electricity and water, and thankfully I think we were okay as a state. I know some people still suffered during that time, but it was better than it has been in previous years, I will say. But that being said, I was able to wear these because I worked during that ice storm and I was walking to and from the parking garage, to and from the bus to get to work. So I um, did use these for that walk and I was warm, and probably won't use them again until next January and February, but it was okay. I'm really glad that I made these. I saw the weather was going to be like 18 degrees. I was like, I gotta knit my mittens. So I did that, and it was nice for 2 days. Okay. The other thing that I knit this month was the beloved hat, or possibly the beloved bonnet. I don't know exactly which it is, but this is a pattern by Tin Can Knits. I knit the baby size because a close friend of mine is having a little girl next month, so we are both really into babies in bonnets and just like making your baby look as much like a gnome as possible. I think it's so cute. So I wanted to help my friend in her efforts to do that, right? So I knit her the beloved hat by Tin Can Knits. I knit it in the like smallest baby size, and it ended up being huge. So I don't know if I had like a gauge problem. I probably did. Um, it's probably a me problem, but she's definitely not going to be able to wear it this winter, but next winter she'll be a cute little gnome. I knit it in the bamboo yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's Yarn Bee, which I believe is their like in-house yarn brand, and it was called Bambootiful or something like that. Bambootiful, yeah. I hated this yarn. This was the worst yarn I've ever used. But my friend likes the bamboo like onesies, so I wanted to continue her love of bamboo fiber and knit her something in bamboo. I will never use this yarn again. I knit it in the rose color, and it's a DK weight yarn. The problem was that it was so splitty. Like the finished product was beautiful. It was super soft and it looked nice as long as I was really careful. Like if I looked away for a second, I would have like splits in the yarn. And I hated that. Like it makes your knitting look bad. Even if you're trying really hard and like working on your tension, it still looks bad and I hate that. So I wouldn't use this yarn and I wouldn't recommend it, unfortunately. Now I won't write off all bamboo yarns because maybe there are different bamboo yarns that work better. I would love to try them. I just did not care for this one. But I knit it on 4mm knitting needles, and yeah, the pattern itself was amazing. So forget about the yarn. The pattern was awesome, super fun to make. It took me like 3 evenings where I wasn't even really knitting that much. Like I think I was just knitting like after my shift to wind down. And it was easy, super fun. Like you use short rows to shape the little hat, and it's got a cute little point at the top. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the pattern. I would make one for myself and be a cute little gnome walking around in the winter, but I just wouldn't use the yarn again, unfortunately. Okay, those are my finished objects. I will talk about my whips now. This is so fun. I'm gonna take a sip of my tea though because I'm talking really fast, I feel like. That's good. Okay. So I am really only knitting on one thing right now. I have like a languishing sock whip, which I really only knit at work. Like if I have some free time, or if I'm like working triage and we don't have any patients or something like that, I will knit at work or read. Um, but I really only knit those socks at work, and I want to change that this year. I really love wearing hand knit socks. They're like my favorite thing to wear, but they're just kind of like boring to make. I feel like, so I just knit them at work when I can like knit and talk to people and stuff like that and not have to really think about it. But I don't want to sit there and knit a sock while I'm like watching a movie or something because it's boring. But I want to change my feelings about that because I would really like to have like a good hand knit sock collection. I think it would be really fun to get into colorwork socks. Um, there's the Charming Colorwork Socks book by Stone Knits, and I would love to buy that and knit those. Knit some of those socks. They have bat socks, or she made a design that has bats all over it. And if you know anything about me, you know that I love romanticy. You'll see that later. And I would love, love, love to knit some like Azrael socks. So like blue and then bats on it. I'm gonna need to do that. I'm gonna do that. Okay, so let's get into my whips. So I am knitting the Cloud Sweater by Petite Knit. You'll notice a theme with me. I really love Petite Knit's patterns. I mean, we all do, but I feel like her patterns are so good and so like reliable. I always like how they fit. I like the like amount of positive ease that she recommends. I find it to be really comfortable to wear. So I knit a lot of Petite Knit, and I will continue to knit a lot of Petite Knit. And I also appreciate that like she went in and adjusted her size range and has made that more inclusive, which is great. Okay, so let's talk about the yarn that I got for the Cloud Sweater. I saw this pattern on her Instagram and I immediately bought the yarn. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a pattern, bought the yarn that fast. I was like, I need this sweater. This is like my dream cozy, like drinking tea while you're reading your book kind of sweater, and I love it. So I'm so excited for this sweater to be done because I want to wear it. I'm just gonna grab the yarn. So this is the yarn that I chose. It is Drops Air and Drops Kids Silk mohair. Um, I'll just post like a picture too of basically everything on the screen so that the coloring is more obvious. Like I think that the colors just aren't really showing up exactly right here, but I clearly like this kind of like stormy blue color. This is called the North Sea color, in both the Air and the Drops Kids Silk. The color numbers, because I know some retailers will have like the color number and some will have the color name. So the color number is 37 for the mohair and 45 for Drops Air. And here is my swatch. I am going to be a good girl this year and I'm going to swatch, because my thing that I noticed last year is that I would knit, spend all this time knitting something and I would love it and I'd be so excited for the finished product, and then I would finish it and it wouldn't fit how I thought it was going to. It would be a totally different garment. And I think that's all my fault just because I wouldn't gauge swatch, you know? And so I'm going to be a good girl this year and I'm going to gauge swatch. But here's my swatch for this sweater. It is a 17 stitch gauge and I am knitting it on 4.5 millimeter knitting needles. I find that the swatch is really nice. Like, it's not super scratchy. I know that I've heard people complain about Drops Kid Silk and call it quite scratchy. I don't feel like I'm super sensitive to like a prickle. I mean, I can kind of feel it, but it's really, this is blocked and it's not that bad. So I feel like when I'm knitting it, like it's obviously not blocked while I'm knitting it, and it's pricklier than like this is. Okay, so let's get into it. I have knit the back panel for this sweater. It is a drop shoulder construction. So this is the back panel. I'm just going to kind of hold it up. I have done the armhole shaping, and I'm about to pick up for the front of the sweater on both sides, and I'm really excited. I think that it is so pretty, and it's like the perfect fabric. Like I said, this is just going to be my cozy tea drinking sweater, and I'm going to be warm, and I'm ready. I'm ready for this to be on and done. But I am enjoying knitting it. It's just like plain stockinette. It's fun, easy TV knitting. I love it. Now why is this not boring and socks are? I don't know. I don't make the rules. So those are all the things I've knit and am currently knitting. I kind of am a monogamous knitter. Sometimes I will knit more than one thing at a time. Like I have the socks going too, but that's pretty much what I do. Like I have a garment and then a accessory. Okay, let's talk about acquisitions because I did go a little crazy this month. I have some Christmas presents, and then also just things that I got, and it's hilarious. I'm actually gonna like hold all of these up for you because it's embarrassing how everything is the exact same color, but they're different, okay? Can you see that? I like red. Okay, let's do gifts first, and then I'll get into the things that I bought. My sweet, sweet husband got me these colors of Linen Quill by Pearl Soho for a half and half triangle blanket shawl. Half and half triangle shawl. I wanted to knit this kind of slowly throughout 2024, and they're so pretty. I love them so much. Before the Pearl Soho knitting yarn, I had never knit with Pearl Soho before, and I loved using that yarn. So I'm really excited for these. This is the color Kiln Red, and then this one is Red Poppy. I think they look so good together, and I'm really excited to knit them. I think I'm going to start with this color, this triangle, and then move on to the bright, fun poppy color. It's really nice yarn too. I'm really excited. I'm not gonna knit this quickly. Like, I love having kind of like something that's languishing, that's more meditative and easy. Like, can watch it while, or I can knit it while watching something and not pay attention to my knitting and just like enjoy kind of that like meditative, easy movement of my hands. I love that. So that's what this is gonna be. Okay, and then my brother over Christmas went to Amsterdam, and he was so nice, and he agreed to bring me back some yarn for Christmas, and he said, which yarn shop should I go to? And obviously, I said, say it with me, Stephen and Penelope, right? So he got me this skein of red yarn as well. Do we have a theme? We do. This is the brand Walk. It's Walk Merino DK in the color Chili. And this is 100% superwash merino. It's got 225 meters and 100 grams. And I'm planning on making the Pearl Soho classic rib beanie. I knit one for myself last year and I made it a little bit too big. So I think I'm going to size down a size and use this beautiful yarn. So this is going to be, it's like I have one of those crazy headbands on, you know what I'm talking about? But I am going to use this to make my Steve Zissou beanie and live out my dreams of living on a boat. Okay, and then oh, I thought I had something else. Where'd it go? Oh, I found it. Okay, when I ordered the Pearl Soho knitting yarn, they sent me this yarn with it. It's called Speckled Hen. It's 80% baby alpaca and 20% fine merino wool. It's 120 yards in 50 grams. I have no idea what to make with this. I only have this little skein, but it is so soft. Like, I want to make something with it. It's in the color Cameo Pink, and it's pretty, and like I said, really soft. It's an interesting yarn. I don't know if you can really see, but it's like, it looks like a chainette construction, but then it's got like fibers that kind of poke out of it, but they're also like twisted together. I don't know. If anyone else has gotten this yarn for free with a Pro Soho order or just bought it because it's cool yarn, tell me what you made with it. I only have 120 yards, so I'm not gonna be making much, but tell me what you made and I'll make it. Okay, and then the last thing I got is yarn for the first toasted tea that I want to make. And it is from Knit Picks. It's called Cotlin. And let's see, this is 70% cotton and 30% linen. It's a DK weight. I got the color Lava Falls, and it's again like this nice brick red that's it leans a little bit orange. Sorry, my hair is just always gonna be in everything. Yeah, I love it. I think it's really pretty, and I made the swatch with the suggested needles for the Tolsta tea. I don't know, like, it was okay knitting with it. It's very dry, which I've heard people describe cotton yarn in that way before, where it's just like really dry. So I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I also feel like this gauge, this is wait, I haven't measured this yet, so I should have measured it before we talked. I'll measure it after and I'll like put something on the screen here to see if this is the right gauge or not. But it's just like, it's really holy. Like, you can see my face through it. And I don't know if that's like what the gauge is supposed to be like, but I don't know if I'm gonna love that as a shirt. It'll be really nice and cool for the summer, but I don't know. I might go down a needle size if it'll allow me to with the gauge, because I just don't like how loose this gauge is. We'll see. Also, I didn't show this earlier, but my brother got me this bag from Stephen and Penelope when he went, and I love it, and I'll put my little hat in this as a project bag. I'm super excited about that. So that was all the knitting, I think. Let me consult my notes. I guess I can talk about like what I want to knit in February. I would love to finish the cloud sweater, because it's gonna get cold, or sorry, it's gonna get warm like in March here. So I won't have a ton of time to wear it, and I think it'll be a quite warm sweater. So I would like to be able to wear it a little bit. My husband's birthday is in February, so it'd be cute to like wear it on his birthday or something. Um, and then I would also really love to knit the red beanie in February. It's like Valentine's Day. It's fun. I think it would be nice. So those are the things that I would like to knit. And then I obviously want to also cast on the half and half triangles wrap, but I don't know if I'll show progress on that every month. Maybe I will, just because like I plan on taking a while to finish that, like slowly knitting it throughout the spring and summer, and then like fall and winter, maybe have it as a finished object. So maybe it would be fun to be like each month, be like, do a progress keeper or whatever. Maybe. Okay, should we talk about books? I think we should talk about books. Because I had a really fun book month. And I'm so excited about reading right now because if you don't know, I'm filming this on, why did I even have to look at the date? I know the date. It's January 29th. Tomorrow is the day that we have all been waiting for if you read the like fantasy, romantasy genre. Crescent City 3 is being released tomorrow. I'm so excited. I have the whole day planned out. I'm going to go to the gym in the morning so that I have like the whole day to read. And then I am going to go to Barnes & Noble. Probably camp out there actually. I'm going to be camping in my tent in front of Barnes & Noble so that when the doors open, I get my copy. And then I'm going to get my book. I'm going to go to a coffee shop, pick up me and my husband some coffee, and then come back home. I'm going to read it, and then I think we're going to have burgers for lunch, like burgers and fries, if you know, you know. And then I think I'm gonna like at 1 p.m. after lunch, I'm gonna get in bed and I'm gonna stay there and I'm just gonna read my book all day long. Because I have to work the Wednesday through Friday. I'm not gonna be able to read very much. What am I gonna do? I have to read as much as I possibly can on Tuesday, okay? And then I have I'm borderline cultish with this. So I'm gonna do like a Crescent City 2 slash, even saying that's a spoiler. If you have not read Crescent City 2, skip. I'm gonna put the book up here, Crescent City 3. I'm gonna put the book up. I'll take it down when I'm done with the spoilers, okay? Because I need to talk about this, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. So I will take it down when you can watch again, mute or skip. Okay? Thank you. So I have a tea that I drink when I read ACOTAR. Reading ACOTAR for the first time was like a religious experience for me. I loved it so much. It was my entire identity. It is still my entire identity. Some of my favorite books I've ever read. So I had a tea that I would always drink, and so anytime I smell it, I'm like transported back to Valaris. So, because we're gonna meet our beautiful bat boys again, I am going to drink my tea. It is let me go get it. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is the tea that I always drink. It's the honey vanilla chamomile by Celestial Tea, or Celestial Seasonings. I always drink this, and I literally smell it. I'm in Valaris. I'm at Starfall. Azrael's right there. No. So I am gonna drink this tea. It's also like, it's canon to me that Bryce wears men's cologne. Like, I've never read that. It's not a thing, but in my head, like, she would. Like, you know? So I got this candle that's like black wax, and it smells very like manly. So I'm gonna light that candle. I'm gonna drink my tea. This is turning into a cult, and I love it. So join me. Join me if you want to drink that tea and go to Valoris with me and see what the heck they're gonna get up to when we have Bryce and all of our ACOTAR people. We are gonna have new inner circle content. I read the chapter 1 and the prologue at work, and I was ill. I was screaming. I was ill reading that. Here's a picture of me talking to my friend about it. I lost my mind. I'm not going to be well. Okay, let's talk about what I did read though, so that I can move on to my Sarah J. Maas moment that I'm going to have over the next little bit. Let's be honest, I'm going to finish it on Tuesday. Okay, so here are the books I read in January, plus, oh, it's blowing out like crazy. Sorry about that. Here's the books I read in January, and then I read one audiobook as well. Okay, so let's go in order. Don't drop these, my babies. Okay, so January, I started out the new year by reading what everyone has been reading and talking about. Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Okay. Let's talk about it. So, I started reading Fourth Wing in like July of 2023. That was, I don't know if that's when it came out, but that's when like everyone was talking about it at first. And I love, like I said, I love ACOTAR, I love Sarah J. Maas, anything. So this sounded like something that I would be really into. I read like 30% and then I put it down until January this year. It annoyed me so much. And all my friends were like, you just gotta try it again. Like, you just gotta power through because it's so fun. The issue that I had with it was like, it was every fantasy book I have already read, just kind of shoved into this book. It was like an amalgam of every popular fantasy / like dystopian book. And I'm sorry if that's rude, but like I just thought it was too similar to other things that I've read, and I couldn't get past that. And also like the dialogue was so, I didn't like it. Now, I started reading it again in January, this month. And I promised my friends I would turn off the criticizing part of my brain and I would just read it because they loved it. They wanted to talk about it. I said, okay, anything for you. Once I turned off the critical part of my brain, which is not easy to do, I loved this book. It was so fun. And now, that being said, I gave this 3 stars, which is like my rating. When I give something 3 stars, it's like middle ground. Not offensive, but not great either. So, 3 stars for this one. I have had so much fun, like squealing and giggling about this book with people. It is everything you want in a romantasy book. You have a shadow-wielding man. You have a female main character who is like, I'm weak and not like, I can't do this. I can't fight people. And then she like is like, oh wait, I can fight people. I can actually be really strong. I can figure it out and I can save the world, which is what we all want. That's the only reason we're reading these books. Well, not the only reason, but I thought it was fun once I got over myself and just enjoyed what I was reading. Okay, then let's say we finish this book, then we move on, and we immediately go into Iron Flame. Now, there's so much hate for this book on the internet. She's chunky, and she, in my opinion, was better than Fourth Wing. I liked it more, and I think the only reason I liked it more was because it wasn't what my complaints were with Fourth Wing. It wasn't just the same story written by a different person and like combining all of the stories. This was its own story, and I thought that was fun. Violet and Xaden are so annoying in this book. Like the entire time you're reading it, you're like, shut up. Like I sound like I hated this book. I didn't hate this book, but like they literally fight constantly, and then they're like, we're having the same fight over and over again, and I'm like, yeah, so stop writing it. Like we don't want to read the same fight over and over again. Talk to each other, you know. I don't like the miscommunication trope, which this wasn't the miscommunication trope, but like it was close enough that I was like, okay, like let's move on, let's talk about other stuff. And then they did, and you had a lot of really interesting stuff happen in this book, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. I gave this one 3.5 stars because like it was just really fun. You know, it's not like the best book I've ever read. And I clearly have very serious complaints about it. But it was fun. If you just like let yourself have fun, life is so much better. You know? Like don't take things too seriously. That's what I've learned with these books is like you can just let yourself have a good time and not be like too serious about anything. Try it. It's fun. Okay. Then after I read those two books, I read Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This series is interesting for me because I think I like it, but this is the second book in the series, and I think I read From Blood and Ash like 2 years ago. So I kind of just read this series, I guess, when I like don't know what else to read. And then I basically start it and I forget everything that has happened in the last book. That was my experience with this. Forgot everything, forgot all the characters, didn't know what was going on, and then just kind of figured it out. It was fun. I like Castile. I think he's funny. And I like Kieran a lot. So I basically just read this book for them. I think Poppy's fine. I liked her better in the first book, I would say. But this is fun. I guess I should probably like talk about what these books are about, but like I'm really just talking about vibes. Let's go back. These books are basically about a girl who her name's Violet. She goes to this war college where you can either be a scribe or a writer or a healer. I think there's those three. Oh, or you can be like infantry. She was gonna be a scribe because she's like really book smart, and then her mother's like, no, you're gonna be a writer like me. And so she goes to the school. She somehow survives. This book, like, people die every day in these books. Like, it's nothing. And they do like that, like, death toll kind of like Hunger Games style where they're like, these are all the people who died today. Hee hee. It's everyone. And like, they're always just like, oh, we're not gonna live to graduation. There's like everybody's just dying all the time. But somehow Miss Scribe does not die, and she becomes bonded to the most powerful dragon of all time, and bonded to this like really powerful shadow daddy, and it's really fun. There's like a war and deception and all the fun things that you want to read about. This book, what is this book about? I feel like this one didn't have a lot going for it for me. Like the first one was fun because they were like forced proximity and um the like twists and stuff were fun. But then this one was just kind of about like the war that's going on and like Poppy's place in it, and I'm not gonna like tell you what happens because I don't really know how to like talk about that without giving away like a lot of the book. But I don't know. Poppy lost a little bit of her like stabbiness. Like in the first book, she's like super stabby and fun, and I sound insane saying that. But people who read these books understand. Like, we want a female character who's going to stab her love interest, right? Right. She doesn't stab. Well, she does. But she's less stabby. And I had a problem with that. Okay. Then I read. Did I tell you what I rated? Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I rated it 2 stars. Because I don't know if I'm ever going to think about that book again. This book, however, I will think about every day. And it is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is the best book I've read. Oh my god. No, that's not true. But I loved it. This book was so good and so sweet. I annotated it, and basically when I annotate, it's like putting hearts in the margins and being like, oh my god, this is so cute. And that's what I did basically this entire book. Just little hearts. Because I'm in love with Roman Kit. This is the sweetest book. Okay, so basically in this book there are 2 gods and they are at war. And you have these 2 journalists who are working at this newspaper together, and they're kind of like work rivals, right? And so you got the divine for the gods and the see? Okay. They're work rivals, and they're like vying for the same position. The girl in this book, her name is Iris Winnow, and she goes to be a war correspondent on the front lines of this war. The 2 like love interests, they write letters to each other, and it's kind of like You Got Mail in that the girl doesn't know that she's writing to the guy, and he's like her like rival at work and stuff. But they write letters to each other, and they end up falling in love through those letters. And so you get to watch that unfold as you read the book. And they basically both end up becoming war correspondents, and kind of goes from there. And it's so sweet. Like, this is the most wholesome, beautiful love story I've read in a really long time. And I just like the like aesthetic of the book as well, if you will, like the typewriters and the tea and the London and the and then they like go and stay in these little cottages when they're on the front lines, and it's so sweet. I really love it. I also was looking up like fan art of this book, and all the fan art makes Roman Kit, the guy in this book, look so cute. Like, I love how he looks in those fan arts, obviously. But when I was reading it, I thought he, like, in my head, he looked exactly like the dude from Corpse Bride. Like, that's the only way I could envision him. Because, like, he's in this, like, manner, and he's like a rich boy, and he's always polished, and he's got that like dark hair that's perfectly groomed, and he wears white button downs and like he's the guy from Corpse Bride. That's my fan cast. Okay, and then I'm currently reading Ruthless Vows. by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book. This is a duology. So just for a moment, can we just like look at how gorgeous these covers are? They're so pretty. I love how they look. I like this one especially. But yeah, I'm currently reading this book. I'm like this far, and it's so fun. Like the book kind of picks up exactly where the second or the first book leaves off, and I won't talk about that because I don't want to spoil anything. But it's been really enjoyable reading this so far. I will probably have to put this down because I don't know if I'm going to be able to read that much today, but I know that starting tomorrow I'm going to be reading Crescent City 3. So not that I don't love this book, I really love it. I want to keep reading it. I think I'm just probably going to have to put it down for a couple days while I'm in my Crescent City era. And then I'll pick this up again after. Yeah, it was a really fun reading month. Oh, actually, I'm forgetting something. I listened to an audiobook as well. I listened to Art Matters by Neil Gaiman. And this book, it's a really short book, and I listened to it on audiobook, but I know that Chris Riddell is the illustrator for the physical book, and I really love his illustrations. He does a lot of illustrations for Neil Gaiman, who is one of my favorite authors. Here's my copy of Neverwhere, but like that's Chris Riddell. He's got a really good art style that I really love. So I think I will probably buy the physical copy so that I can see his illustrations for this book. I really enjoyed reading it. It was basically a book about like reading and the importance of it. And especially the importance of helping your like children read. I have a real love for middle grade reading or middle grade books, and a dream of mine is to eventually write my own one day. So it was nice to hear him speak on the importance of children reading and fostering that love of reading at a young age, but then also talking about writing as a craft and the way to create stories and build worlds for people to get lost in. And I really enjoyed reading it. If you have any interest in writing at all, read that book. If you have any interest in like helping your kids read and develop a love for reading, read that book. It's very pro library, which I love, and pro like librarian and helping people to figure out what they want to read and what they like. So it was really fun to read. I just anything Neil Gaiman writes, I want to read, basically. So I think that's pretty much it for the books that I read this year, or this month, excuse me. I'm really excited for Crescent City, obviously. And then in February, there's a new Ali Hazelwood book that's coming out. It's February 6th, I think, and it's called Bride. I've read her books, some of her books. She writes like STEM romances. So like obviously I'm a nurse, so like she wrote like Love Hypothesis, which was a biology major girl in her romance, and then I read, what was the other one? Love on the Brain. She writes basically the same book over and over again, and I eat it up. Now, she wrote a book that is a werewolf and vampire romance. Like, that's not a STEM romance. What are you doing, Ali Hazelwood? That's not what you write. I'm ready. I can't wait. I love her writing. She's so funny and like writes great great romances. But then we all know I love a little vampire werewolf. Like, are we gonna reawaken the Twilight era with this? I'm ready. So I'm gonna read that for sure in February, and I'm so excited. And then I think so. I read ACOTAR, and it changed my life. Crescent City has been so fun to read. I think it's like some of her best writing that I've read. And then I really want to read Throne of Glass. I haven't read it yet. I've been so scared. I have had the box set for like 2 years. My beautiful mother got it for me for Christmas, and I have been too scared to start it. I mean, I know that it's going to be this like huge journey that I just haven't been ready for, but I think I am now. Like, I think I want Crescent City 3 to kind of like launch me into this world of Throne of Glass. I think it's my time. So I think maybe spring and summer. I think spring and summer is going to be Throne of Glass time for me, and I'm ready. And I'll take you along with me through my journey if you want to be a part of it. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this. I had fun just like chatting about all the things I love for an hour. I'm sorry I talked so long, but tell me if this is fun, if you want me to split up books and knitting. Just give me suggestions, because this is something that I think would be fun to do. And I just want to do what people will want to watch too, you know what I mean? So yeah, thanks for hanging out. I hope you were cozy during this time and had something fun to drink and knit or just like chilled out. Hopefully this is something that kept you company, because I know I really love all my little knitting YouTubers that keep me company. So yeah, introduce yourself in the comments. I want to know about you, and I'll respond to any ones that I can. Thanks. Bye.